This really is a very good day for traffic safety in the state of Minnesota, and I say this with true conviction. I truly believe that there's no greater or more important piece of legislation that's going to have a positive impact on traffic safety in our state. And I think we've been talking about it, as the commissioner mentioned. It's been a legacy issue for him for the last several years, and I think it's demonstrated by the individuals that are standing behind me. Some chiefs from local departments, family members. This is important not only to the Minnesota State Patrol but to all law enforcement in the state. And it really couldn't have come at a more critical time. As some of you that watch traffic fatalities realize, in the past couple of weeks, we did have a very low or a lower traffic fatality rate last year, but over the last couple of weeks we've had a very big spike in that. And if you've noticed, a number of those individuals that have perished on our roadways in the last couple of weeks have been unbelted occupants of motor vehicles. So as we move forward, this law enacting today really comes at a time during the summer months when we see a spike in our fatalities, and so it's appropriate that it starts now that we have an opportunity to utilize the law immediately. It's important to underscore the role of seatbelts in vehicles. Motorists really need to understand that primary law put in place was to prevent the really violent, horrific crashes that happen out there. And as you know, we talk about fatalities on the news. The media goes out and says that X number of people died this weekend, or there was a crash. And what you normally see is the picture of a car, or you'll see an intersection with the paint marks on it. What you don't see through the media is you don't see the violence that happened the night before, the day that happened. These are very, very violent deaths that are occurring out there. And the purpose of primary seatbelt really is to have those people occupied in that safe zone within that car. Keep in mind that cars were designed with seatbelt use in mind. People, when they stay inside the vehicles, are much more safe than they are if they're flying about, or more importantly, if they're ejected from the car, only to have the vehicle roll over on them. It's important also to understand that, as the commissioner pointed out, this isn't about the State Patrol or other law enforcement agencies writing a lot more tickets. Frankly, if next year we didn't write a lot of seatbelt tickets, that would be great. That means that a lot of people are actually wearing them, and when we should see the relevant results of having lower fatalities because of unoccupied people that are out there. But clearly, during a May campaign, during the May seatbelt campaign last month, the ladies and gentlemen behind me of law enforcement, we issued in combination about 7,000 citations across the state of Minnesota. Now, 7,000 citations indicates to us that there still are a significant number of individuals that are out there that aren't buckling up. And so the whole idea of primary seatbelt really is not about us writing tickets, but to re-emphasize the importance of seatbelt, and to emphasize that the state of Minnesota and law enforcement in general, and those that are concerned about public safety, feel so very strongly about it. We're sending the message. Keep in mind that we have had a seatbelt law in Minnesota for some time. It just wasn't a primary offense, and it wasn't universal. All the people in a motor vehicle didn't have to have them on. The state really is just reaffirming the importance of occupant protection through the use of a seatbelt. And by doing so, by giving law enforcement the opportunity to stop people and advise them of them, we just hope to change driver behavior so indeed that they will wear those. One of the offsets of this as well that I think is important to note is that a significant number of individuals who are impaired don't wear their seatbelts as well. As a matter of fact, as I recall, I think about 80% of the impaired fatalities that happen are non-seatbelt wearing individuals. And so there's even a crossover into that application from a traffic safety standpoint, that we're hoping that those individuals that are thinking about driving impaired are at least buckling up. I know that sounds silly, but a lot of folks are dying at night out there because they're drinking and driving and not wearing their seatbelt. And this just adds to that, gives us another tool, so we try to get those people to wear their seatbelts as best we can. And I'm going to close with this. While law enforcement, plays an important role in traffic safety, as we really do, it really isn't about law enforcement. It really is about the citizens. It really is about citizens, stepping up to the plate and saying, geez, you know what, this is important. This is something that I have to do for me, for my family. And it really starts with those individuals getting into a car and a driver saying, you know what, there's a law now that says that everybody in the car has to wear a seatbelt. And that means that before we leave someplace, we're going to do it. Or that, frankly, if the child in the car says, Mom and Dad, you know what, I think we should all be wearing our seatbelts before we go down the road. That's really the idea behind this, is just to put an emphasis on everybody getting into that vehicle and wearing a seatbelt. And on the other side, law enforcement is going to take this very seriously. We've already told our troopers, and I've spoken to a lot of the local enforcement agencies, the state has said we have a primary law now. We're not going to go out and we're not going to create a whole bunch of saturation squads where all of a sudden we're going to slam down and really focus entirely heavily on doing that. But we are going to take advantage of this very important tool that the legislature has given us. So as I said, I will wrap up with this. This isn't about law enforcement. This is about the drivers and the occupants of the motor vehicle, the men and women in uniform, public safety officers, and all of us, all those that work in traffic safety, really just want people to get home safely every day that they go out and move around on our roadways. And this is a very important tool. This is a very important part of getting everybody to where they're supposed to be going.